On a bit of a dreary day, with intermittent showers and debating turning back a couple of times, my dad and I approached the Ponderosa, which I've not been to since Hill Climb Nationals, since that brilliant day. I'm pleased to report that the coffee is still terrible, but the location is still great, and this was just a little stop off before our main climb of the day, which is the ladder, and the climb leading up to the ladder. Hello! I'm at one of my favourite places. I barely ever come here, but I'm on a bridge that goes under a bridge, and in a minute we'll be looking at another bridge. God, it's brilliant here. Chainbridge down there. How good is that? Okay, I shouldn't dawdle. I'm going to do a climb called the ladder, but there's like a long lead into it as well, so there's 1.5k of a climb that's called the ladder up this bloody mountain behind me. But before that, there's about another 3k of climbing that's quite steep, so it's all one segment. It's already come up on my Garmin on Climb Pro, and it's got Andrew Feather's time. Yeah, if I can do Andrew Feather's time times by 1.5, I'll be happy. Genuinely, that's not me being negative Nick today. I think that's a reasonable estimate of what I might be able to achieve. I don't know what to expect of this climb. I know that it's steep with flat sections, and I know that it's beautiful, so that'll do me. I hope you enjoy coming along for the ride, guys. I'll try my best. If my gears give up, I might swear and I might be sad, but last week I ended my climb really, really negatively, like talking about just how shit I am and how I should be ashamed of myself, and I'm really trying to get out of that mentality. It's not good. I'm here to enjoy myself. I've come out for the day. I'm going to enjoy this hill. Right, see you on the road. I'm afraid if you don't like bridges or birds of prey, this is going to be quite a boring video for you, but I was delighted by both of them. Here I go, turning onto the A5 now, with very clunky gears. Well, that's a piss take, isn't it? There's my first thoughts from the road. You probably can't quite make out just how steep the road I could see in front of me was, but it looked like it was just a wall immediately off the A5. And as I got up to it, sure enough, it pretty much was a wall. The road surface, relatively grippy but very, very loose, so that was pretty scary. I know I say this every week, but my gradient there's a proper lag with. It says this is up to 30%. I'm not convinced. I believe it's up to 30%, but it felt very steep, a little bit scary. You know, I was doing 400 to 500 watts to keep myself going. Obviously trying to remain seated. Guys, I'm currently with Andrew Feather. I was trying to stay cheery up here by doing some light-hearted piss-take things, like keep you up to date with my progress versus Andrew Feather. I'm probably talking over it at this point, but it was about 3 seconds later that I said, oh, never mind, he is ahead of me. And that will be the story of this climb. As soon as I'd finished that first steep section, you open up into this valley, and it's lovely. Like, it's lush, it's green, it's beautifully manicured. There's a couple of like really grand country houses that look really impressive, and I really enjoyed just sort of absorbing the atmosphere. But the road had other ideas as it reared up to nearly 30% again here. Off there. Fuck. So yeah, I did nearly fall off, which on this road surface I'm not completely surprised about. Couldn't get out the saddle really, and because the surface was so rough, front wheel was wobbling quite a lot, so you just run the risk of kicking out your wheel. It wouldn't stop me for a second coming back and doing this climb. I'll talk more about how much I loved it all the way up, but yeah, it was so good. I don't care that the road surface was rough, it's just an added bit of peril, isn't it? A little bit of fun. keep the old adrenaline flowing. What I will do on this climb, because it's quite long, you see Andrew Feather did it in 10:46 or whatever. I was saying that I thought it might take me 15 minutes. I will speed up all of the flat sections. You unfortunately have to go through the slow sections with me, because this is my YouTube channel and you will suffer as much as I suffered. But on the fast bits, let's make it look like I was going even faster. And there were quite a lot of fast bits on this climb. You roll pretty nicely, and at parts the road surface is really good. Like I say, this whole section along this valley was really nice, really pretty. You can almost make out to my left one of the big country houses, and the hill to the left of that, funnily enough, is actually what my dad ended up cycling up. We parted ways at the Chainbridge, and I said, straight over on the A5, up a really steep hill, and then I gave him 2 other turn instructions. And he took straight over to me and left then right. I meant right then left. Turns out there's 2 almost equal climbs that run either side of this little valley, which is brilliant because it just means there's even more climbs for me to do. I'll talk about it some more, and I know it's a bit boring, but all the way through I found this climb really engaging in terms of the fact that it's up and down. You have to think about what you're doing. This wide valley changes the perspective of what you're climbing, so there's parts where it's like 5 to 10% that feel like they're false flats. You're thinking, why am I going so slowly? But I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound too grand, but other places I've cycled, like Mallorca or Thailand, where you get these really massive open areas, they play with your perspective a little bit as well, and I found this to be a similar thing, albeit a less grand scale, where you're thinking, I really should be going faster than this, the road looks flat, why am I not going faster than this? And it's just because of perspective. But it feels you know, very British countryside at this point, very old forest. I guess part of it is to do with it being maintained by whoever owns these fancy big houses around here, country manors. But it's quintessential British, and as we get higher up it's quite reflective of the Berwyn mountain range, which is where I am now. We are outside of Snowdonia, and we're also outside of the Clwydian Hills. It's another set of hills south of Llangollen called the Berwyns, which are a little bit more rugged, a little bit less approachable than the Clwyds, and a little bit less well known and visited than Snowdonia because they're smaller. But this becomes very open moorland that is relatively wild, very sparsely populated indeed, so I was surprised to see there are quite so many roads along here. It gets to be more what I expected along this part as you come through farms and the sort of thing you get used to seeing on my YouTube channel with these climbs around Wales. I should say that so far I've not reached the climb called the Ladder that I've called this. Technically these are 2 different climbs that I've pieced together, but for me it's very clearly one consistent climb bottom to top from the A5 to the top of the mountain that is the Ladder climb up. People call this one the climb to Vivod, Vivod being one of the mountains, and just around this corner there's a hairpin where you can park up and you can walk the trail up to Vivod. So the first bit, climb up to Vivod, ends here, and when we turn this corner there starts the Ladder. I couldn't quite believe the profile when I looked at the Ladder. It is like 25 to 30% for the first 600 meters or so. It shouldn't surprise me. We're not far from Llangollen, which is a climb I've done already on this channel, and these climbs between Llangollen and Glyngceiriog, both sides, are stupid steep. Like, stupid steep. Someone was taking the piss when they paved this. I just got really confused because I believed at this point that my dad was on the same climb I was,
I didn't take that long filming at Chainbridge. Granted, I was faffing a little bit, but normally by this point I'll at least have seen his flashing rear light off in the distance, and I could basically see the entire rest of this climb up this shelf road, and there was no rear light to be seen. So in my head I'm thinking, has he had some form resurgence and he's just absolutely smashed this climb to the point that I can't even see him in the distance? Or has he got to the first steep bit, gone nah, and gone to the cafe in Llangollen? Little bit of worry in my mind, but also, you know, we always know that if either of us, if anything goes wrong, we'll just go to the nearest cafe. We'll find each other. We're adults, not a problem. I said out of the saddle here because the road looked good enough, and frankly, I had no other choice. There is no way I could have tackled this section of road seated. It's monstrous. And to put a real positive spin on this ride, although these gradients were truly ludicrous and I was having to turn 400 watts give or take to keep going, even though I'm maybe 8-9 minutes in here, that felt fine. I wasn't quite doing my aiming for completely consistent pacing that I did earlier in the season. I'm back to being happy putting more power down on the steeps, but I'm really thinking in my mind, as you get over the top, keep the power ticking over till you're up to speed, and then you can drop it down below threshold, get a touch of recovery where it doesn't matter so much. But yeah, I was really happy about that. But anyway, I've been talking too much about me on this channel and not enough about the climbs recently. My camera is just a touch too low for that hedge, unfortunately, but my head was perfectly high enough that you can see down through the Dee Valley. You can see Llangollen that we're now high above. You can see all of the beautiful geography around Llangollen, like Castell Dinas Bran, all of the like cliffs and stuff of the Panorama Walk and of World's End, and all the way down to Pontcysylltu, and even into Cheshire. To be honest, it's an absolute feast for the eyes, and even though I was on my limit pushing on, I really felt like I could enjoy it. So the really monstrous steep bit of the ladder is sort of over at this point, but it's not done rearing up. You keep climbing, you get into some woodland, then it levels off before one final kick. But I was trying to keep just threshold, just keep ticking threshold over while it's uphill. Know that I'm going to gain a lot of speed on this flat section, and then just see what I've got in the tank for the final kick. And to use a bit of an internet meme word, the final kick was epic. Like, I mean that seriously, it felt out of this world. Climbing up the side of a mountain with the whole landscape sprawled out beneath you. It's the sort of thing that I imagine someone with a drone would film incredible, beautiful pictures on. Alas, I don't have a drone and I don't have any interest in learning how they work, so I hope you'll enjoy my front and rear bike camera footage of it only. But yeah, very pretty. The road on the left of me here is where my dad came out eventually, once I'd figured out where he was and where I found him, and you can do that as a completely separate climb, and another day I will, because I just had a big beaming grin on my face the whole time, when my tongue wasn't out and my nose wasn't dripping and all those things. But internally, I had a big beaming grin on my face. And I'm quite happy here that I managed a relatively strong finish. I've made the rear camera slightly bigger just because I want you to be able to see the magnificence behind me. Truly a beautiful scenery. Apparently there was an old hippie commune up here. Some people say it was a cult, some people say it's a hippie commune. I don't know exactly where it was, but yeah, that may be something to find for another day. And you know I'm always sad when climbs don't quite finish at the most beautiful vista point. This one kept going just a little bit further and you lose the final views, and I start going, where's me dad? But forget that for a second. I'm delighted to tell you that I'm 4th overall on this leaderboard. And my power profile actually looks quite good. I'm pretty happy with that. There's obvious like peaks and troughs, but generally it's pretty consistent, and I gave it everything I had, so that's great. Look at how Feather puts time into me on all of the steep bits, and I relatively hold him on the flats. I'm kind of happy with that. He's much better than me and most people. And now I'm afraid you're in for quite a few shots filmed from my phone of the landscape, because it was just so impressive.
Yeah, when
I've met up with my dad at this point, and we're going, why didn't we bump into each other? And slowly figuring out that we got it all wrong. Now, I hope you like birds of prey, because I'm going to talk a lot about them. But I love this. I'm still, a week later, absolutely buzzing about this climb and this area, and I'm thinking about coming back. I've got some big plans that I won't quite tell you, but I'll tease, that involve this area.
If any of you are bird of prey aficionados, that's a red kite. Red kites were almost extinct in the UK. You see that red kite? Oh, yeah. It's majestic. It's thick. There's this entire view. She sure is. We're right underneath it. Oh, it's fantastic. I can't believe we've never done this before. It is a bit of a pain to get to. There's, like, for those of you working miles, it's like an 80-mile ride minimum to do this hill from our house. But yeah, it was incredible. I loved that hill. Unfortunately, Dad and I did different hills. It's a bit wiggly, and we're stitching different roads together here. So neither of us had Garmin's on, and we kind of, well, went different ways. But that means we got two different experiences. I'm probably going to have to edit a lot of this out, but look at it. Did ya? Do you want to do a 30-second summary? What did you make of it?
It was actually a very approachable climb. There was nothing where I thought I was coming to a standstill like we were on the Beacon Road the other week.
Oh yeah.
And it's very pretty. The views are excellent.
Yeah, look at this.
So it was one you could actually take in the views.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, what did you make of the very beginning when you came off the A5? Were you okay with it? I nearly fell off.
Oh no.
Oh, I was nearly off there. Fuck.
Fine with
that. So yeah, I'll obviously do a wrap up as I do the footage, but this is beautiful compared to last week when I had that strop at the top of the bulk and said I'm a shit cyclist and I should just give up. It's much better week. Cool, right, onwards with our ride. I'm glad we stuck at it. I am really glad we stuck at it.
It's really just for mine and my dad's benefit that I've put this footage of us climbing back up, him cycling with this fantastic backdrop. I just think it's a lovely shot, and if someone had footage of me climbing with that lovely backdrop, I would want to see it. Very quickly, I'll show you the climb my dad did side by side with the climb I did, so you can see how different they are. Almost identical distance and elevation, except his was completely smooth and steady, and that's why he liked it, and mine was pitched, steep and not steep. Indulge me for one more minute. I think that the Dee Valley is one of the greatest places in the UK to ride bikes, if you like hills. This is another hill that we could have climbed, and that I will come back and climb again, separate to the other two. So that's 3 fantastic climbs just here. Then we've got the Grim, the New Shoe, the Old Shoe, World's End, Ashgwenant, a few that I haven't done, like called Ocher, and a few others. I just think you're absolutely spoilt for choice with these fantastic sceneries around, and yeah, I just wanted to say how much I love it round here. I think it's fantastic. I would implore anyone who's not cycled round here and likes hills to come and give it a go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you all soon.